And welcome into the Air Radio Music History and Trivia Show, the video show, the vlog, or whatever. What's the matter?
Nothing.
And it's also the Top 40 Timeline video show, kind of hand in hand with my Top 40 Timeline radio show. We'd like to, right off the top, welcome Leah Lywood, right here, and Amanda Bassent's right here, my co-hosts for the Rock and Roll Show. And I'd say hello to a few radio stations. We've added a lot of radio stations.
And this is Big Daddy.
And I'm Big Daddy.
Yes.
Well, you guys, they already knew that.
I'm just making sure.
Yeah,
because there might be new people.
We've added a lot of radio stations in the last couple of weeks to our show. We'd like to say hi to Radio 365 in the UK and Andrew Fairbrass. And we're heard on Sundays there, the Top 40 Timeline radio show I'm talking about. And hello to Nigel Crane and all the gang at UK National Radio. We're heard at 4 p.m. UK time on Saturdays. And then we're on Party Dog. Have you ever heard of that?
Oh, yes.
Yes, I think your better half owns that, doesn't he?
Yes, he does.
That's Mr. Mike Devine's station. And I'm happy to be on there. I'm one of the highest rated shows on the station, he told me. I'm so proud. I'm heard weeknights and Sundays. Afternoons, right? With playing jamming songs on the one, right? Rock and roll.
And I have to say, it's kind of interesting hearing our Big Daddy here and then a really hard rock song right after him.
That's right. Right after the old man of radio. Here comes the heavy rock.
love it.
Man, I can still do it. Hello to Head Oldies in New England and the USA, heard on Sundays. Music Box for Friends. Hello to the gang in Brussels, Belgium, as Big Daddy wakes up Brussels, Belgium at 6 o'clock local time there on that local radio station in Brussels, Belgium. That's cool, eh? Halton Hills
nice.
Online,
Yeah, that
4
is cool.
p.m. On Saturdays, local time, FM 108, Saturday at 6 p.m. Eastern. Radio GTA, we run it at midnight in Toronto, Saturday nights for the late night crowd. If you want to listen in Southeast Texas, say hi to Michael Cole down there at the beat of southeasttexas.com. And we're heard at 1 p.m. Central Time. And Tony Gossman in the Motor City, Windsor, Ontario on Pirate Radio for the Great Lakes. And finally, the Lynx Radio Network in Calgary, Alberta, home of the Calgary Stampede and Lanny McDonald. And, well, I'm a Leaf fan. I shouldn't say that, should I? Because he played for the Leafs before he played for Calgary.
He did. So you're okay. That's kind of a catch. You're good.
All right. So hello to everybody there. Now, why don't you kick off the show? And we're going to with a few tidbits from rock and roll. This is the lady that puts everything together, Leah Lywood, on our rock and roll trivia. So and we'd like to thank her for that. And
thank you.
In my way of doing so, I'll let you lead off with the show. There you go.
All righty. So we got a song for Richard and His Friends, which is a song by Chicago. Did not receive much radio airplay, but is a notorious example of Chicago's political persuasions in the early years of the band. It is a nose-thumbing directed at President Richard Nixon. Nixon was at the apex of his political powers then. Watergate was just around the corner, and the notorious burglary that led to his ruin occurred just weeks after the album was released. Robert Lamb, who is one of the founding members of the band, was the one that wrote the song.
Wow.
No, that's not one of their popular songs. You're going to have to look for that one. A song for sleeping by the Stone Temple Pilots. That's a lullaby written by lead singer Scott Weiland for his 18-month-old son, Noah. There you go. You can see Weiland and Noah in this David Spade sketch about music file sharing. Noah gets the line, "Will you please buy my daddy's album so I can have food to eat?" directed at another grade schooler who is struggling to learn why sharing music is a bad thing. Weiland wrote this with bass player Robert DeLeo. They composed it while sitting on the edge of Weiland's bathtub. The lyrics, "So you will tell me the little things, what does God look like, and angel's wings," comes from the Judeo-Christian belief that all unborn souls are lined up in heaven waiting to be born, and hence babies are new arrivals from heaven. There you go.
So that's a well-known song. If you know Stone Temple Pilots.
Well, Stone Temple, one of my favorite bands.
Okay. In 1932, Debbie Reynolds is born Mary Frances Reynolds in El Paso, Texas. 1939, Rudolph Isley from the Isley Brothers, pardon me.
I know, you corrected yourself right away.
Is born in Cincinnati, Ohio, and English radio and television broadcaster Annie Nightingale. She was the first female presenter on BBC Radio in 1970. And the first female presenter for BBC television, The Old Grey Whistle Test, where she stayed for 11 years. Nightingale specialized in championing. I
can't even say it.
Championing. Okay. New and underground music. She also led the movement and encouraged other women to become DJs and broadcasters.
She was great. I used to listen to her when I was a kid, and one of the first ladies of radio in British radio. She was on Radio 1 for years, and some of the nights I used to spend listening to Little Annie Nightingale. Something else.
1966, John Lennon bought a copy of Timothy Leary's The Psychedelic Experience and the Tibetan Book of the Dead, where he read near the beginning of the book's introduction. When in doubt, relax, turn off your mind, float downstream, which captured Lennon's imagination and became the first line of Tomorrow Never Knows, which he recorded 5 days later.
Oh, what a story. A lot of stories about Lennon, eh?
Because he was kind of the unique of them all. They were all talented, but I think John was the unique of them all, right?
In 1970, as an April Fool's joke, John Lennon and Yoko Ono issued a statement to the press that they were having dual sex change operations. That sounds like something John would do.
It was. Him and Yoko. In
1978, the Philadelphia Fury soccer team, owned by Paul Simon, Peter Frampton, James Taylor, and others, makes its debut. It lasts 3 seasons. I didn't even know they owned a soccer team back then.
You want to do the next one?
I'll do, there's a couple of short ones there.
Well, a little longer,
1984, this week in 84, Marvin Gaye was shot dead by his father at his parents' home in Los Angeles, California. The argument started after his parents squabbled over misplaced business documents. Gaye attempted to intervene and was killed by his father using a gun he had given him 4 months before. Friends and family members say that Gaye Jr. was often suicidal and paranoid, sometimes wearing 3 overcoats and putting his shoes on the wrong feet. And it was a sad day. I remember the day that happened.
Let's still keep on.
4 days before his death, his sister Jean said that Gaye Jr. tried to kill himself by jumping out of a speeding sports car, suffering only minor bruises. Jean stated that there was no doubt Marvin wanted to die and that he couldn't take it anymore. Marvin Sr. was sentenced to 6 years of probation after pleading guilty to manslaughter. Charges of first-degree murder were dropped after doctors discovered Marvin Jr. had a brain tumor. Yes. The story of Marvin Gaye at the end. What a sad way to end it all. Right?
Yep. Okay. In 1991, at his Wembley Arena concert in London, Rod Stewart calls for his wife Rachel Hunter to join him on stage for You're in My Heart, the final acclaim. But she instead sends out his buddy, Elton John, dressed in women's clothes and makeup to prank her husband. Stewart gamely plays along and sings to Elton John.
And you should see the picture. It's hilarious.
I can imagine.
Elton's all done up with a real curly, long-haired wig, and it's just priceless.
Well, they were good friends, those guys.
Until they weren't. I think there was, if I remember correctly, some issues down the road with them. But aside from that, they were for many years.
I still think they're friends. Elton's a little strange at times, I guess. I mean, money will do that.
Well, he admits it. I mean, he was very much my way or the highway, and that's just the way it was.
He used to get under people, and he'll say what is on his mind. He's always done that. Did that with Madonna. Same thing.
Does it with everybody.
Said what was on his mind.
His way or the highway. I don't know how his husband. I'm not sure how he does that, but each to their own, I guess. A Spoonful of Sugar was co-written by the famous Sherman Brothers, whose classics include Chitty Chitty Bang Bang and It's a Small World. The Sherman Brothers were stuck trying to come up with a catchy title and chorus for this song. An apple a day, a stitch in time were amongst the suggestions that were later rejected. The pair struggled to come up with something snappy for a fortnight until Robert Sherman's then 8-year-old son came home from school. He recalled, I said, "How was school?" He said, "Great. We got the polio vaccine today." I said, "Oh, did it hurt?" He said, "No, they just stuck medicine on a lump of sugar." I went, "Oh, there it is. That's it."
Yeah, I remember that when they used to put a lump of sugar on there.
Well, that's how they came up with a spoonful of sugar for the show, the movie.
In publicity materials for the singer-songwriter's 2009 The Annie Lennox collection, the Scot referred to 1,000 Beautiful Things as a song of gratitude. Lennox explained, "I was coming through a dark period, desperately trying to find some joy, but not finding it. I'm trying to remind myself what happiness means. I was grasping at straws, trying to find a reason to be cheerful, and then that song arrived. There was some beauty after all. It was like a little mantra to remind myself to live, breathe, sleep, and to try to make your life complete. Beauty is everywhere, in a sunrise, a drop of dew, the warm breath of a child, or a flower opening. That is the sacred gift of life, even if we don't always acknowledge it." Another great warm breath would be Maple Leafs raising the Stanley Cup, but we won't go that far.
No, I was hoping that was going to be that their point was going to be the other night. Well,
probably be the Boston Bruins.
Saturday, that's it. They're in the Stanley Cup. As of Saturday, they're going to be with the Canadians. They'll do it. All right.
Okay, in 1805, Hans Christian Andersen is born in Odense, Denmark in 1939. Marvin Gaye is born Marvin Pence Gaye Jr. in Washington, D.C. in 1947. Emmylou Lou Harris is born in Birmingham, Alabama, and more.
You might as well talk about Elvis, too, there. 1957.
Okay, 1957. Elvis Presley appears for the first time outside the United States, performing at the Maple Leaf Gardens in Toronto. This and a show the next day in Ottawa would be the only Elvis concerts ever given outside the U.S.
That's right. That's quite something. Quite something. In 1967, an overzealous audience member throws a smoke bomb onto the stage at the Rolling Stones concert at the Town Hall in Vienna, Austria, leading to a riot and the arrest of 154 fans. Go ahead, Leah, with the 2013 story.
Why don't you do that one too?
No, you go ahead.
Okay. A grand piano used in Motown Record Studios was fully restored and put on display at a museum dedicated to the legendary record label in Detroit. Sir Paul McCartney helped fund the restoration of the 1877 Steinway, beautiful piano too, which was originally in Motown Studio B and was used to create hits for names including Marvin Gaye, Stevie Wonder, and Edwin Starr.
There you go. Are you doing the next one? Or?
Yeah, go.
Oh, you give me all the good ones, don't you? Mm-hmm. Introducing the song
A Tout
Le Monde at a concert in Webster Hall in New York City on October the 25th, 1994. Megadeth frontman David Mustaine said, "In February of 1993, I decided I would try to kill myself with Valiums, and I came really close to doing it. This is a song about the time period of my life when things were really fucked up." And he later clarified the meaning. It's not a suicide song. When people have a loved one that dies and they end on a bad note, they wish they could say something, they could have said something to them. So this is a way for the deceased to say something to them before they go. It was my impression of what I would like to say to people if I had 3 seconds to do a soundbite before I died. I would say to the entire world, to all my friends, I love you all. Now I must go. And these are the last words I'll ever speak, and they'll set me free. I don't have to say I'm sorry. I don't have to say I'm going to miss you. I'll wait for you. I'll just have say that I loved you all. Good, bad, indifferent. I love you all. There you go. That's a good way to look at life, you know, when you're finished with it. You know what I mean? Yeah. Trick of the Tail.
Okay, Trick of the Tail song was written by keyboard player Tony Banks. His lyrics were based on William Golding's 1955 novel, The Inheritors. He recalled, it's about a race who were on Earth before man, and it's the story of the last survivor of this race. The very last chapter deals with our reaction to him, whereas the rest of the story is his reaction to us. It's about an alien with horns and a tail who appears in a modern city and how people react to him. English writer Sir William Golding, 1911 to 1993, is best known for his debut published novel, Lord of the Flies, about a group of schoolboys stranded on a tropical island who revert back to savagery.
There you are. The Trick of the Tail album. I remember that when I was younger. Great album. Great album.
Oh, yeah. I still love it.
Go ahead.
Night.
I'll give you a cattle prod there. It's your turn.
I was about to say, yeah, you know.
It's your turn. Talk about
There it
Doris
goes
Day.
again.
Children, please.
Nah, that'll never happen. In 1922, actress and singer Doris Day is born, Doris Mary Ann Keppelhoff, in Cincinnati, Ohio. She turns to singing when a car accident wrecks her dreams of becoming a professional dancer in 1941. Surf rocker Jan Berry, Jan and Dean, is born William Jan Berry in Los Angeles, California in 1942. Wayne Newton is born Carson Wayne Newton in Norfolk, Virginia in 1944. Tony Orlando is born Michael Anthony Orlando Casavitis.
Tomato, yeah.
In the Hell's Kitchen neighborhood of New York City in 1961. Eddie Murphy is born in New York City. And in 1985, he has a hit with Party All the Time, written and produced by none other than
Rick James. And actually, Richard Pryor and him had a bet on whether it would be a hit or not. And,
I think I recall that. Now that you mentioned it, I never thought about it. You just mentioned it.
In 1959, because of the references to bad behavior in school, writing on the wall, throwing spitballs, the British Broadcasting Corporation bans the Coasters' song Charlie Brown. The ban is lifted 2 weeks later.
The BBC wouldn't ban that, would they?
Monster Mash wasn't a hit in England until 1973 because the BBC had their head stuck up their ass with their ridiculous. It was ridiculous. 2007, Rolling Stones guitarist Keith Richards denied that he snorted the ashes of his late father,
oh my God.
Shane Rose. Richards' manager told MTV News that the remarks were made in jest. You got to tell me these stories are coming up.
Richard,
and she did not believe that they were taken seriously. Richards had said in an interview with the New Musical Express, he was cremated and I couldn't resist grinding him up with a little bit of blow. I can't read this. But New Musical Express interviewer Mark Beaumont was convinced that Richards was not joking when speaking to him about the alleged incidents. He did seem to be quite honest about it. There were too many details for him to be making it up. He told the BBC News, "How can you make something like that?"
But how would you ever think that somebody is going to snort the ashes of their dead father?
Well, you never know.
It's Keith Richards, man. Come on.
Nah. Yeah, he's been around since the beginning of time.
He's a lot of things, but I don't ever think I would see that happen.
Duran, Mandy.
Okay, Duran's A View to a Kill, the theme song to the 1985 James Bond movie of the same name starring Roger Moore and Grace Jones. It is the only theme from a Bond movie to hit #1 in America. The story behind this song, according to the bassist, John Taylor, was that he approached the longtime Bond producer, Albert R. Chubby Broccoli.
Cubby?
Cubby,
yeah.
Okay, whatever. Where am I? While extremely intoxicated when they were both at a party. He stated that he was a longtime fan. Major Bond geek would be more accurate, while Aston Martin was said to be one of his first rock star purchases. And he frequently mentioned his Bond video collection in interviews of the series, but the most for the last few movies he'd been mediocre, and then offered to have his band fix a problem, and Broccoli took the idea under advisement.
So he bought himself an Aston Martin. I guess if you got lots of money, you can do whatever you want to do, right?
Well, I think we're exactly hurting in that department. So, yeah. Kinks frontman Ray Davies wrote the song, a well-respected man after the group's 1965 tour of the U.S. The tour did not go well, with infighting, fatigue, and conflict with the musicians' union that kept them from performing in country for another 4 years. Davies recovered from the tour with a vacation at the English resort town of Torquay, Devon.
Torquay.
Yeah. Take it. Tomato.
No, it's Torquay.
Okay. There, a wealthy hotel guest recognized him and asked Ray to play a round of golf. Far from being flattered by the invitation, he took great offense. "I'm not going to fucking play golf with you," he told him. "I'm not going to be your caddy so you can say you played with a pop singer."
There you go. Some birthdays this week. Muddy Waters, this week in 1913, he was born in McKinley, Morganfield in Rolling Fork, Mississippi, down in 1932. Clive Davis, founder of Arista Records, born in Brooklyn, New York. And in addition to working with artists like Kelly Clarkson, TLC, Alicia Keys, and Aretha Franklin, he will help launch the careers of Whitney Houston and Barry Manilow. And in 1948, we had Pick Withers, drummer for the Dire Straits, is born. David Withers in Leicester, England. There you go. Want me to do the one more there?
Yeah.
In 1970, Brinsley Schwartz's promotion company sent 133 UK journalists by plane to New York to see the band supporting Van Morrison at the Fillmore East at a cost of $204,000 US. The event turned into a disaster. The group planned to leave a few days before the show to rehearse, but were denied visas on a technicality. They were finally given visas on the morning of the show and arrived hours before the concert. The plane carrying the journalists, developed a mechanical fault, delaying the flight, and when the journalists arrived in New York 18 hours later, they were all hungover. Brinsley Schwartz gave an underwhelming live performance, resulting in a flood of scathing reviews. But they weren't feeling well, apparently, at the time. Mandy?
Okay, in 2007, a Swedish couple ran into trouble with authorities after trying to name their baby Metallica. Michael and Carolina Tamaro went to the court with the country's national tax authority about naming their daughter after the rock band. The 6-month-old had been baptized Metallica, but tax officials said the name was inappropriate under Swedish law. Both first names and surnames needed to win the approval of authorities before they can be used.
Now, who the heck? There you go again, though. Overseeing what you can and can't name your child.
You should be able to name your child whatever you want.
Metallica, I think, would be a lot better than some of the names that some people have thought about calling their kids.
Yeah, that's kind of true.
I always thought my name was Jesus Christ till I was 12 years old.
Oh, on to the next. This poignant look, he still thinks that way.
No, that's all my father used to say is, Jesus Christ, what are you doing now? Jesus Christ, stop it. I did find out that I wasn't Jesus Christ after a while.
This poignant look at Winter in the Queen song, A Winter's Tale, composed by Freddie Mercury after recording the Innuendo album just 2 weeks before his death. The lyrics were inspired by the view through the window at Queen's recording studio on Lake Geneva, Switzerland. Freddie wrote the song and recorded his vocals and keyboard parts live in one take. The frontman usually insisted upon music being completed prior to the vocal arrangement beginning, but realizing that he had little time left, he acknowledged that he had to speed up the process. His remaining bandmates subsequently completed the song, releasing it 4 years later.
Freddie, sure do miss Freddie.
I still say that.
He looks like, I know.
Him and Austin Matthews, man, they're spitting into each other.
You're the only one that can see that.
Actually, no, I have several that can see it.
I guess
I'm going to get you your glasses.
Yeah. The phrase, a woman's place is in the home, or its sentiments can be traced to the 5th century BC, when the ancient Greek playwright Aeschylus, maybe?
Aeschylus.
Oh, I knew that. Anyway, let women stay at home and hold their peace. Alas, times have changed, of course. Boy, have they ever. When this O'Sullivan composition was uploaded to YouTube, one viewer commented, "Why is this song so upbeat, and why does no one boo him?" When O'Sullivan performed it at the UCL Bloomsbury Theatre, London, on April 26, 2004, "Ever since I wrote this damn song, I've been beaten up so many times about it, and I've loved every minute of it." He added, "It might have been called A Woman's Place is on the Phone, or as a backing singer had suggested, a woman's place is on the throne, though perhaps that should be reserved for Queen songs. There. And we got more birthdays with Mandy now.
Okay, in 1939, R&B singer Ronnie White, The Miracles, is born in Detroit, Michigan. In 1950, Aretha
Falskog
of ABBA is born in... Okay. Really?
He was born in...
Jönköping.
Let's just say
Jönköping. Småland, Sweden.
I have no idea how to pronounce that in Swedish.
I'm looking at this thing going, oh my God.
I'll tell you one thing.
You're kidding me.
I was learning languages. I did start Finnish once. Never mind. 1923, go ahead.
Okay, in 1923, Joe Oliver and King Oliver Creole Jazz Band, featuring a young Louis Armstrong, make the first jazz recording by an African-American band at Gannett Recordings in rural Richmond, Indiana.
Jeanette.
Jeanette? Okay.
Do the one about the bear there.
Okay, in 1981, blues rock musician Bob the Bear Hite, lead singer of Canned Heat, dies at age 38 after snorting a vial of heroin, thinking it was cocaine given to him by a fan. Wow.
What a great band they were. They only had a couple of hit records, but they were both fabulous songs.
The person who gave it to him must have already been doing something with it to not have let him know. I mean, can you imagine?
Yeah.
That's do the We Are the World.
1985, thousands of radio stations play We Are the World simultaneously at 10:50 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. In the next few weeks, the song goes to #1 in America and the UK. And there's one left.
That was a powerful song. I remember watching the video on that.
Yeah, it was.
But you know what is also as powerful is a song that's been lost through the years, is Northern Lights.
Oh, God,
and
yeah.
And they're, the Canadian version of that. Which really we should dig up and play on the show maybe one week.
Yeah.
All right, so I got one more and we're done. 2017, at age 73, Barry Manilow comes out as a gay guy. That's okay, Barry. Barry tells people that he has been in a romantic relationship with his manager, Jerry Keiff, for nearly 40 years, and they met in 1978, and then they married in a secret ceremony in 2014. Why be secret about it? Who cares?
Yeah, but back in the day, you got to understand with Elton John, all of them, they kept it low profile for a very long time.
The National Enquirer reported on his union in 2015, and while Manilow wore his wedding ring and didn't deny his marriage to Keiff, he didn't talk publicly about his sexuality. It's nobody else's business anyway, really. We'd like to thank you for joining us. I'm Big Daddy. And who are you?
I don't know. I think I'm having problems.
Huh?
Who am I?
God, let's get out of here.
I think
Say
it's
goodbye.
One of those days, people.
I think it's time.
I thought she'd lost it there for a minute. Bye, folks. See you later.
I love getting him going, man. It's nothing like it. Nothing like it.